Now, without wasting any more time, let me move on to our first panel discussion, which is titled Unlocking Employee Potential, Designing Benefits that Empower and Engage. We have eminent panelists with us who will explore various aspects of employee benefits, technology's role, and the future trends in this space. And now, as I call upon your names, dear panelists, I would request you to come on stage and take your seats as per the images. We can do that? I see all our panelists are excited. All right, first on stage, I would like to call upon Mr. Atul Tiwari, Chief Human Resources Officer for Spice Money. Can we have a huge round of applause? Next up, we have Mr. Rajnish Handa, Group Chief Human Resources Officer for Yatharth Group of Hospitals. Next up, we have Ms. Radhika Arora, Head of Human Resources for Jakson Limited. And finally, we have Mr. Dev Arora, Chief Executive Officer of Chai Point. And to moderate this discussion, we have Mr. Vipul Oberoi, Director of Marketing, CSR and Learning Solutions at Dun & Bradstreet, India. Over to you, Mr. Oberoi.
So we've been talking about the intersection of design, technology, and the workforce. So there is a people component also there as well. And when it comes to people, obviously, everyone works for certain compensation, certain benefits. Now, we used to study about this Herzberg's theory of motivation. He used to talk about there is a hygiene factor and there are motivation factors. So hygiene factors are that they are good to have, but in the absence of these hygiene factors, people will leave the job. Then there were the motivation factors. If they are there, it's not that if you're not there, these motivation factors are not there. It's not that people will leave their job, but in the presence of these motivation factors, they will be motivated to do better. They would punch above their weight. But that was decades ago. And in fact, if Herzberg comes and talks about these factors again, he himself would be thinking again, have I really categorized them well? Because he thought of these factors as mutually exclusive. But today's workforce is very diverse. They have different set of expectations. They have different set of demands. They are more in control. What we see now is the equation has changed a lot. The employees themselves have a voice in the design, in the technology, in the benefits that they are getting. So the equation, the power equation, if I can use that term, has changed. But at the same time, I would say that this millennial workforce, the Gen Zs, they are also coming up and getting into decision-making position. Whole dynamics, the whole perception of how employee benefits are and which employee benefits are more valuable, that itself has changed. And I think this is the panel discussion in which we will be discussing more about the evolution of employee benefits. We would be discussing which employee benefits matter more for today's workforce and learning from the best practices of the eminent industry leaders here. So I can in fact go on a sequential wise and start with Atul on how have you seen, and Spice Money has been there for more than 2 decades. It itself has seen an evolution from it's an NBFC, but it has also a telecom, and it has also moved into fintech, becoming fintech. So how have you seen the employee benefit space changing in your organization?
So, as you rightly said, there is a whole transition which has happened. What it was maybe even not longer, but 5 years back, is no more relevant. And the biggest catalyst also, which we have seen, is the pandemic. Is something which has changed pre and post a lot of aspects and outlook from organization perspective, HR leaders perspective, and employee perspective. And there are then varied generations, what we call it, right? Which is like now when the baby boomers are there. So earlier, yes, as we were discussing in the room, there are certain benefits which we have seen which were great attraction points for employees, were like PF, gratuity, basic statutory benefits, right? Those are hygiene given. Now somebody getting onboarded, I mean, as simple as goodies being given on the onboarding. That was also some kind of a benefit which people used to have. So those are very basic things which nobody is much concerned about. It's given, people are not excited about it. Now what we have seen is the whole shift which has happened, and by virtue of the industry and where the whole workforce is moving, what I have seen is that there are three major elements which anyone is looking for and getting excited. One is, of course, that what is the growth benefits which I see in the organization. That is first thing which people are looking at. The second is the well-being, is very, very important, which is the pressing need now after post-pandemic. And in fact, I worked in few organizations wherein the well-being was, even pre-pandemic, it was one of the top priorities, wherein we have looked into the whole body, mind, and soul. It's not just your health benefit, but overall your well-being is something which is the key priority. But it has become more compelling now, which I have seen. So how you're taking care of that piece. And the third is, of course, the compensation. I mean, around that, rewards, I would call it more. Compensation and rewards is another piece which has pushed a lot of organizations to have a different perspective.
Sorry, what's the size of the workforce at Spice Money?
So we have 1400 people plus 250 people outsources, approximately 1600, 1700 workforces there. And we are present across 458 districts, pan India, serving approximately 18,000 zip codes. And we are 458 districts. We are not restricted to district headquarters, but to the block levels. So that's the kind of workforce which we have. And the needs are very different. Then we have, we are fintech, so hence there is a different breed altogether, which is technology, right? Techies are there. Their needs are very, very different. And that's how we have seen that what is the different need. For example, as simple as I'll tell you that what benefits when I make any tech person hiring to be done. So it starts from there. Of course, we all have felt the heat of the tech resource crunch when this whole pandemic piece has happened. We have offered as simple as anybody who got an offer, they were also given 10,000 rupee Taj voucher or any 5-star hotel voucher so that we can keep the person warm. And that's additional benefit which we have given it to people just to retain. So it is also a function of what you want to do it, what kind of workforce in terms of retaining and also attracting the talent. And around those, then those inputs have come into picture.
And you particularly mentioned about, of course, you have a diverse workforce coming from various geographies, and the needs of the techies are different. And Rajnish, I would pose that question to you here because it's a lot about the skill-based workforce. And Yatharth is into healthcare, and the manpower requirements, the talent acquisition strategy, the employee benefit strategy must be quite different from in the other sectors.
Yeah, if I come from a healthcare background now. I've been with Apollo, yet Artemis, HCL Healthcare, and Asian. And this is a new group that is about 10 years old. And we are evolving into one of the largest groups in now UP. We have 1,405 beds, we have 3,000 employees. Now the major workforce that is the backbone of this organization is the nurses. And the nurses are these, you can't call them now semi-skilled. Earlier we used to call them semi-skilled. They are skilled. And the attrition is the highest out here. Attrition goes up to 40 to 50%, even 60%. So now retaining your normal hygiene benefits that are there, they don't work at all. If I say कि leave दे दिया, standard leave policy हो गई, आप उनको benefits दे दो, PF, ESI, it doesn't work. So what is now important is now seeing what is the career development that we can give them. So one part is nurses come from a very socio-economic weak background. So the aim is they just do GNM or BSc nursing. After that, there is no recognized course in India which they can upskill themselves. They do diplomas and fellowships and normal courses. So what we had started, we did this in Apollo. We tied up with IGNOU and linked up, and we started doing courses which were recognized and they got certification. And with those certifications, they could then go on deputation abroad and work abroad. So what we did, we went out of the box and thought a little differently. We tied up a 10 group of hospitals in USA, tied up with the Middle East, tied up a number of countries, Saudi Arabia, etc. And we gave them a deputation. Now the deputation was for 2 years, which really helped us to increase the retentivity of these people. Number one, after 2 years they came back to us, they got better skilled if they went to US. plus I got paid for it. That was the crowning glory. So that advantages, so the nurses today or doctors today or the other support staff that is there, they want more than the normal hygienic benefits that we give them today. So the idea is that think out of the box, give them something better. Money is monetary. You'll be surprised. Today, a nurse who's a physician assistant with me gets 1,20,000 and an RMO, a doctor gets 60,000. So you can understand it's a need-based skilling has to be done, and it's a need-based industry. So, and when tech comes in, tech is important, but today all the patients that you have seen here want a physical contact with the doctor and the staff. So though we started telemedicine and we started teleradiology, and I think the largest telemedicine now group is Apollo, which has complete Andhra PHCs under telemedicine. But finally, at the end of the day, the physical contact with the doctor is still, required by most of us. So, talking of benefits that we can give them, salary is one. Now, there is something we started called retention benefit. So, long-standing retention. So, maybe if you stay for 3 years, you get a bonus after 3 years. If you stay for 5 years, you get a lump sum benefit after 5 years. If you stay for 6 years, you again get a bonus. So these are the new kind of things that we started. We have been successful to an extent, but finally at the end of the day, these are only small measures. We have to keep evolving, and I think we need to keep finding different methods to retain our skill force.
Rajnish, you mentioned two things I observed. One was on upskilling, that is very important, and second is long-term retention benefits.
Yeah.
Do you see upskilling as a subset of retention?
Yeah, absolutely. Because see, career development will only take place if you know there is a path ahead. And what is the path ahead? Example I'll give you. If a nurse starts her career, she's a basic nurse. She's called a staff nurse. Then she specializes in maybe pediatric ICU, neonatal ICU. So these are specializations that she gets. With each specialization, she gets a career. She gets a specialization pay. So which is important for her. Similarly, if I send her out, suppose I send her to an hospital in the US or I send her out on a deputation, she learns the best practices there and she gets skilled there, further skilled there in the specializations. And these specializations then help her to grow in her career. So she sees a career path. Example, in India, we have nurses who come, they are not allowed to give any prescription. But if you go to US, you go to any European country, the nurses prescribe the medicine. The nurses are more important than a doctor in the American industry. And the average age of a nurse there is about 60 years. That is the shortfall of skilled manpower that we have today. Whereas in India we have a ratio, the ratio of nurses to the manpower the public that is there is 2:1. 2:1,000, sorry. 2:1,000, not 1, 2:1,000. So behind every 1,000, there is only 2 nurses available. And this is just a rough figure. Total nurse strength there is 36.14 lakh in India, which is a dire need to still enhance the manpower workforce in nursing. And the problem here is that the colleges that are there are penny packet colleges all over India, which are running nursing institutions, which are not giving the right skills. So whenever these nurses come to us, the upskilling that I said is extremely important because they are raw. Even if they get their diplomas or whatever they get, GNM and BSc nursing, they are still not up to the mark. So upskilling plays a very major role in seeing the career enhancement.
So technical know-how seems to be the crux of your industry.
Yes.
And in fact, Radhika's industry is also into energy and infra, and that's also a technical thing. If I may call it manufacturing and engineering space, Radhika, if that's
Sure.
okay. And their human resource management has typically been linked to labor relations. Is this still the state of affairs, or has it gone beyond to include more new age practices?
Okay, so I would want to take from where he left about, skilled nurses. So I love this quote which says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So, you can have the best of the business strategy possible. You can have the best of the product. Unless the culture and the people of the organization support, it's doomed to failure. So for us also, I represent Jakson Group. We are an energy and infra company, and we are into various businesses. Few businesses are still too dependent on, those are older industries like gensets and all, where the manpower is available, and we don't have to really do something special for them. But we also have a company which is into green business. So we have Jakson Green Energy, where we really need skilled manpower. And this renewable energy, solar, hydrogen, and all, these are all newer industries for India. So there, yes, it's the employees market. So what we do for them in terms of whether it is a skilling course for them, a good skilling course, like he said, something which they can value and something which can ultimately give a good, marketing on their CV, something which they'll really value. Otherwise, I think with the traditional sector, we are really struggling because it's a mix of workforce. And today, especially post pandemic, and especially with the Gen Zs, the moment they come in for the interview, they would not even want to come in for the interview face to face. They'll say, why do you want to waste my time? Take a Zoom interview. But our leaders are still those traditional leaders who will be like, I want to see the person before I decide. And then if we select them, the second question would be, how much flexibility would I get? How many work from home days? Is it a compressed week, etc., etc.? And for us, 70% of our workforce actually work out of shop floors in the manufacturing plant, or we have EPC sites. So if that is the kind of workforce we have, we cannot really have a special kind of arrangement for 30% workforce. So we are still struggling. We are still trying to find out what's the right answer to give them that flexibility. But other aspects, health and wellness, we are doing a lot. We also have so of course, everybody after COVID, EAP became the kind of the most happening trend. So we also went in for the EAP, but I think slowly it's dying its natural death. I don't know whether I should be saying this, but when I look at the data, a lot of employees are not really using it now. But in terms of other employee benefits, health benefits, gym memberships, or if there are platforms, health apps, and then regular events for employees, employee health checkups, etc., etc., we are doing that. Then financial wellness also, we have tied up with an agency who will give them salary advances, etc. So these things we are doing. The one which Sir mentioned about skilling of the workforce, we are also into it because it's like a differentiator for them. So, Vipul, you spoke about Herzberg theory, right? I would want to connect this whole thing to Maslow's hierarchy. When we all started working, or maybe a generation even before us, we were still on that base of the triangle where we worked for roti kapda makan and maybe a car and something like that, right? And now, since all of us have worked so much and slogged so much, that all these needs, basic needs, are already taken care for our kids, right? So they already, maybe in a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler, go to college and all of that. For them, of course, food is not at all an issue. So for them, they are already in that second level or third level of Maslow's triangle, where when they come to us, they ask, okay, what is your R&R policy? How do you appreciate me? How much will I learn? So for them, the needs are all evolved. So if we really want a workforce who will work for us from Gen Z, then it's high time that even for a traditional sector like ours, manufacturing, engineering, sites and all, even if it means some money, extra money, we'll have to do it. And we will have to give them those evolved benefits.
So the employees, of course, there are different kinds of benefits, upscaling, etc. Employees want a flexible, a hybrid work environment. The HR leaders here also support a hybrid work environment. But there's someone on this stage who really wants employees to come into the office, and that's there when it comes to chat point. Now, you are now on the other side, actually, of the table, so to speak. And what you have seen is you are changing the workplace one cup at a time. What have you seen as far as employee benefits are concerned, of course, you run your own company. It's into F&B space, but you have your interactions with the other HR leaders and facilities, and what you are seeing in in these new age workplaces.
So, good morning. Pertinent question, Vipul. Like every HR leader said, it's extremely important. Basic benefits have become a hygiene. It's extremely important to upskill them regularly. It's extremely important to stay ahead from everyone else. The world is social right now. The employees or colleagues that we work with want more to be shown on the internet or social media than for themselves, and that has become a bigger reality. Now, what's happening in this kind of a scenario? There is a lot of filtration that's happening in people's mind. The filtration is not only in terms of what benefits I get, what kind of culture that we have. There are nuances which are being discussed on multiple forums on internet, which was people were not even aware of some time ago. Like, for example, work from home was necessitated by the pandemic. We all know that, but pandemic is out. Now, what is necessitating that need? Retention is the biggest concern, that people are not able to take the larger call of getting the colleagues back to office. And on that front, there's a lot that's happening. Coming to your question that you asked, that I work with a lot of organizations, what's happening there? Okay, they're doing everything possible. Okay, thinking out of the box, like getting the cafeteria upgraded, getting the workplace upgraded, making sure that there are set days on which people come to office, compressed week that Radhika was just talking about, okay? To make sure that there is a habit which is building again, okay? Giving them additional benefits to come to office in terms of conveyance, in terms of making sure that they get the flexible working hours so that they don't get stuck into the traffic, because that has become a habit now. Being on road, it seems to people, is a now waste of productivity. Okay, but over and above, a lot of measures being taken on team building, which was happening earlier as well, but has taken more prominence now. And why? Because what is the motivation to come to office otherwise? Coming to a workplace, yes, the workplace is swankier, yes, the workplace has more benefits, but the reality is, when someone who has been with the organization for 5 years comes back to office, sees 50% people around which are new, they've never met. Still, that person has the bonding with the remaining 50%, but the new 50%, how do they know the organization? They just know the organization by the mails that they get, or the asset that they are carrying, or probably the health card or benefits that they have. Okay, so the team building has become extremely important. Regular communications have become extremely important. Cross team workings is now happening on an even more regular basis. People like us are being made now. What do? We serve cafeterias, we serve pantries through our brewing pots in offices. We are being made the part of town halls to understand what else can we do to benefit the employees and keep them happy and keep them in office. So a lot is happening, and I'm sure a lot is yet to happen. But the reality is that India wants to become an industrial economy. An industrial economy has to be an industrious economy. Without being industrious, you can't be industrial. And that starts from working from your workplace. So that's inevitable. I'm not worried. Thank you.
And that all starts from a cup of chai.
That's right. It does.
That cures everything. Definitely. So a lot of views coming here and best practices coming up. And what we did was, when our eminent panelists came to the venue, I played a kind of a dirty trick with them. So I said that I'll actually pose a question to them in this panel. And what we did was, we did a survey, a public survey, and employees from across India, actually from all different kinds of sectors, from different levels, have filled in this survey. So where we asked them questions about what kind of benefits do they really like. And then now we'll pose the same question to our panelists here, and let's see whether their understanding of employee benefits really matches with what the employees say. So, and it's something which I can post to the audience as well. So we asked people, among these employee benefits listed below, which are the top 2 benefits that employees value for themselves, top 2. So these were the ones for the benefit of the panelists: flexible work arrangement, health and wellness benefits, career development opportunities, performance linked bonuses, competitive compensation packages, workspace and infrastructure, facilitation of new age technologies, and supporting financial well being. So, any panelists want to take a guess which would be the top two benefits?
I can go first.
Yeah, yes, please.
I think few of them they would already take it like a given hygiene, okay. But to my mind, the first two which you have written are the ones which will matter the most for them.
Flexible work arrangement and health and wellness benefits.
I had a slightly different opinion. Performance linked remunerations are something in the healthcare sector is very, very prevalent now. Our doctors today are not paid salaries. We don't pay salaries. We pay an MG, minimum guarantee, and the rest is performance linked benefits. That means they get a variable pay. So you perform and they take a share of the revenue of the amount that they garner. So the today, if I look at the healthcare sector, all my 90% of the doctors, Apollo is 100% variable pay, performance linked pay. There is no salary. So the concept of salary was there earlier. In fact, I am one of the culprits who started this performance linked salaries. So the MG is a start, which we give them minimum guarantee. This is a start point, kick point for a doctor when he comes into the industry. And then as he performs, he takes a revenue share out of the OPDs and the IPD. OPD is the outpatient department and IPDs is the inpatient department revenue. So that's how the revenue grows and he also grows along with it. So I think that is one of the most important in our sector.
Atul, would you like to take a shot?
So I said in my initial conversation, one is of course career development, which I touched upon, is one of the important piece. Well-being and health means well-being means financial well-being as well. That is another piece which is there. These two I feel, and the third is compensation, which I said. So according to me, these three are still the top priorities.
Good. And audience, would you like to take a guess? Anyone? Which one would you think would be the top benefit? Can you spell it out? Sorry? Career development? Supporting financial well-being. Anyone? I had a competitive compensation packages? Okay. Performance linked bonuses and which is the sixth? Workspace? Competitive compensation packages. Okay. As was mentioned, it depends on the sector you're working in and what level you're working in, the blue collar or white collar. So let's see what were the survey results. And that's interesting. What I'll pick up is whoever mentioned it as the top three benefits, we'll keep that as the first. And the survey results are, so 68% have chosen flexible work arrangement among their top three choices. So they said top two. So about 35% selected flexible work arrangement as their top two choices, 17% and then 16. So that combines to 68. 53% selected career development as the first choice, second choice plus third choice. And third is competitive compensation packages. So largely, and health and wellness benefits is also, of course, a fourth one. But if you would like to see flexible work arrangement and career development opportunities like upskilling, what you and Radhika were mentioning is so important. Flexible work arrangement is something which Atul and they've also touched upon. So our panel is largely has got it correct in the first work, and I suppose you as HR leaders also would probably be thinking about these four when you are setting up policies in your own workplace. And that is the changes which have come, of course, after the pandemic. And another big change which has come is this, as I was mentioning in my earlier address, is that there is a new wave of DEI. So diversity, inclusion, equality is no longer just a buzzword or something that will give you a certification. That is something which organizations have felt that is a reality. So I'll quickly jump to another survey question that we did, and wherein we asked people that which are the three most impactful factors in making the future workplace more inclusive, more empowering. So the options given to them were cultural inclusivity, uh, equal opportunities for abled and specially abled, both health insurance benefits, including LGBTQIA plus benefits, benefits to unorthodox caregivers, a 40-hour or a 4-day work week, increased quantum in parental and child care support leaves, and mental health benefits. So these are beyond the traditional benefits that are typically there on your salary slip. These are something which people feel that takes care of the needs of everyone of a diverse workforce. So, panelists, what do you think would be the top two benefits, top three most impactful factors? Sorry, Radhika. Any?
Still thinking.
I think cultural inclusivity
culture,
is one, definitely.
and then maybe increased quantum.
Benefits for unorthodox caregivers is another piece. And I think 40 hours or 4-day work week, according to
Cultural inclusivity, mental health and benefits.
this one. Orthodox caregivers and 40 hour.
For work week. Yeah.
Cultural
Look at that.
inclusivity, increased quantum in parental and child care support leaves, I would say. And then, of course, mental health benefits. And all these are essentially COVID triggered also. In a
COVID
way.
triggers
Yeah.
also.
Especially the
Yes.
mental health.
Yes.
I would like to add, when you say workers is critical with overtime. So that is critical for these. They don't mind working, but then the overtime benefits should be there linked to
Should be
this.
there as well. The audience?
Why are we not
Okay.
asking this?
Oh, sorry,
I
I'm so
don't
sorry.
want to spill the beans. I have already seen this in Mumbai, so that's why I'm quiet.
Not being inclusive.
Yes, you're being there. I would have come to him when the responses.
So
come.
not being inclusive but giving equal opportunity.
Audience, just one 40 hour. Okay. Cultural inclusivity. Mhm. Mental health benefits. Okay. Okay. So what I see here when we come to the survey results is actually it actually gladdens me because most of you have actually got it right, and I think that's a very encouraging sign that the people who matter, the people who make the decision making in their organizations, have actually got it correct. So the most impactful factor, 55% of respondents have said mental health benefits as one of the top things they are looking for as far as cultural, as far as an inclusive workplace is concerned. Then a 40-hour or a 4-day work week, and then in cultural inclusivity. And I think most of you have selected one of these three there. And it's a 50% cutoff based on what respondents said. So we can fairly say that if you are making a more inclusive workplace, if you want to make it a more diverse workplace, these are the top three factors which you should take care of. And then coming to you as well, and we are talking here about people asking for a 40-hour work week. Mental health is a very real and pressing issue these days. And there is something which you bring which is not directly related to work, but you have experienced how even a more industrious workforce is possible through a better design of a workplace.
It definitely is. So, what we believe in is something that we call, due to convenience of our business as well, is chai, coffee, and culture. Okay, and how it comes together is it's a social phenomenon. Chai and coffee in our country are a social phenomenon because you would see even in offices people don't have their beverage alone. That's the place. That's the real place where the culture building happens. Now, how are people designing it differently? This is what I was just sharing with you upstairs as well. A lot has changed post pandemic. Now these spaces are being more collaborative. Even in places like Mumbai, wherein we used to have a dearth of space even to put a brewing pot, they are trying to carve out a space wherein a few people can stand, have a discussion, build a bond, share their concerns, and bring out their, so to say, innovation in those discussions. That is becoming extremely important. So that design change is something that is paying off for a lot of people. Let me give you a very small example, and this came in a recent town hall that I attended in one of the large customers that I have. Okay, and we were invited to attend this town hall, and I decided to go myself to hear what people are saying, and I was intrigued why we are getting so many invitations to attend the town halls. We are such a small contributor. So what we do as an organization, we believe in doing business which is good for people, good for planet. This is our own inner conscious. We have not advertised or marketed it ever. So in terms of sweeteners, we promote alternate form of sweeteners. We know sweeteners are bad. How can you make it less evil is the question. So we started promoting jaggery along with sugar. All the sugar that we use is sulfur free, but we are promoting jaggery. So a couple of employees stood up in that town hall, large organization, 3,000 people attending that town hall, physically and lot other virtually. So they said that, boss, a small thing that this organization has done has changed the way we live our life, not only here at home. And that's that I am using jaggery even at my home. My whole family is using jaggery now. So I thank my organization for providing that small jaggery packet in our office, or jaggery as a form of sweetener, because we never experimented. We never realized that your beverages can taste well with that. Very small point, but think of the impact it has on some of the lives, and not only the people working there, but also their larger family. So these are the small things that all of us in our sphere need to do, not only for the design change, but also for the well-being, which has come out as a big point. And the design change is definitely helping. So recently I've been to another office. They have revamped their whole office just to make sure that they get more inclusive spaces. Earlier, the same organization, we used to have a lot of cubicles. When I used to question them, why so much of cubicles, then they used to say, no, people need a good span of attention. They don't want to get disturbed. Now that thing has changed. Offices are open, are being more inclusive. They are more open and collaborative spaces. Thank you.
So, in fact, you gave a very good example of this jaggery, that example, which might seem a very small thing, but as they say in Hindi, "Boond boond se sagar." And I think this is the butterfly effect of even the smallest of initiatives that you take, that it has a big impact not only on an individual as a worker, but also a whole team, a department, the whole organization, and also uh, going beyond to their families as well. So as we end this panel discussion, and we can actually go on and on, it's quite interesting for me as well. But the one of the biggest learnings is that we should not shirk away from trying out new things. Upskilling is important. Career development is important. What we have seen is that mental health benefit is a very real thing. People want a flexible work arrangement, and I think it's always a journey. I think no organization is perfect, and while all of us as HR leaders always try to bring in new things, I think a more inclusive workplace, a more empowered workplace will ultimately benefit the industry as a whole. And Atul, any last words?
So I think you're right. Where this whole shift has happened, and when I was looking at some of the insights, just to share, I mean, 90% of the workforce today, which is there, they don't want to come back to office full time, and that's what it is also coming out, flexibility in the working space. That is the fact of the life. I mean, pre-pandemic, it was there. We all have invested so much on VCs, blah blah blah. But every time we will say, no, no, physical meeting is important. And then pandemic happened. We all, with thumping chest, said, oh, my productivity has increased. We are completely virtual, but we are doing great. And once the pandemic is over, again we are saying there's a need for us to come back. Then softer angles, physical face-to-face interaction is very important, and different. I mean. Aspects are there. So I think, but we have to very clearly see, and also it was a testimony for all of us that pandemic has actually confirmed that there was a talent war always, but now talent has won the war after pandemic. So it is, no matter what talent demands is what organizations have to do, rather than what organization offers is what talent has to accept. So that's the fact of the life. Even similar cases, even on the inclusivity which we have seen. And I was looking at some of the data, 10% better financial results are there if any organization is gender diverse. 35% better performance, financial performance is there for organizations wherein there is a ethnically diverse workforce is there. Even at the executive team, every 10% increase of the diversity in the executive team, there is 8% plus profitability which organizations go for. So, I mean, the data speaks. Emotions are, of course, there, but I think we have to believe what the data, insights, hindsight, foresight, whatever we see, and basis that we should take a call what benefits we should roll it out for different group of people. One tailor size thing will not fit for everything. So I think we have to tweak and change the benefits, elements, lenses for that. It's not that what we wish to do as an organization, but it's more what the employee or the talent wants is what we have to go for.
Then hearing all this, I think the employees in all of your organizations must be pretty happy because of the employee centricity that their leaders have. So we are coming to the end of the panel discussions. Thank you so much, panelists, for sharing your views. Thank you so much, audience, for participating in the surveys and helping the discussion become more enriching. Thank you. Yes, please. Mike.
So any one of you can take this. And wonderful to know, the benefit plans, and you spoke in your relevant respective organizations. My question is, what is the attrition rate you guys are, experiencing in your organization, and how these benefits are helping you to catch that attrition? Any one of you can take.
Yeah,
this.
I'll just add one quickly. Is see, we are a fintech but heavily distribution-led organization. My attrition at a frontline level is approximately 35 to 40%. And what we have done is very simple thing. That layer is what they understand. What they sell is what they understand, and we are spice money, so we give money with spice, and that's what also excites them. And I think money is very important piece there. We have very clearly seen that how we can create that, and especially startups are known for wealth creation, and that's how we should also give that kind of benefit and message to our employees. What we have done is we have created a wealth plan, and this I have done for last my 3 organizations, and it has worked so beautiful that my attrition was 32%. What I have done is I wanted to ensure the longevity. So what I have done is, for example, my frontline workforce, their CTC is 5 lakh rupees. I have done 10% of that I'll give it to you in first year, after completion of first year, 20% second year, 30% third year, 40% fourth year. So I have ensured that for 4 years the person is there with me first, right? He's not unhappy with the job. And also I have in a way made the person unemployable, because ultimately in any organization, if you go, the increment will be 8 to 10%. I am giving 10%, and this is over and above your annual increment every year which you'll get. So ultimately in 2 years, if the person average tenure is there, the person will leave. They will be anyways within the organization will be getting approximately 50%, because 10% this wealth plan, 10% increment. Another next year again 10% increment plus 20% wealth plan. So approximately 50% increment the person is giving. And I have seen my attrition has gone down from 35% to 7.5%. So that is something. These are some of the things which we have to work on. For my senior level, wherein again the wealth creation is there, probably for them ESOPs excites them, and that's what they also understand. So there I have to play with the equity, that okay, this is an equity which you have to go for, and people are really excited to be there with us for 3 years, 4 years, and it works well for us.
Just one statement I would want to add. You do anything, there'll still be attrition.
So that's
right? I have 20% attrition right now. Maybe I'll end the year at 25% attrition, voluntary attrition, and we have to live with it. I represent renewable industry. I can do anything. I can bring stars to them. I want to retain them. I give them money. Do whatever. They'll still leave.
No, I agree with you.
Sorry,
and,
but
I
that's
agree with
the
you, and I
fact.
can relate because I am also from the manufacturing industry and engineering side. But a subsequent question to Atul. So, this plan sounds good, but how you manage the impact of this on the overall labor cost in your P&L?
So see, when you work with startups, founders, investors understands numbers only. And that's where we have done a very clear CBA. If my attrition is 40%, I have very clearly shown what is the cost. So I have not shown cost per hire. I have shown cost per position. Right. So if my attrition is 35% and my average tenure is only 8 months to 9 months. So ultimately next 4 years, I will end up filling this position 4 times or 3 times. And this is my hiring cost. This is my training cost. This is my onboarding cost. Plus, what is the revenue leakage, which is going to happen because of the loss of transition of the person, right? And we clearly saw, just an example, that if it is 15 crore rupees is a cost which I'm going to incur with the same kind of attrition which is going to happen. If I say that, oh, give me this 6 crore rupees for me to launch this plan, which is a cash plan, and I'll be able to manage that. And that's what it has happened. And it is not 1 year impact. So 6 crores is I'm distributing in next 4 years. So I have also looked at it, typically like a business HR, I have shown that, okay, I'll add 1% gross margin from the bottom line to the organization by reducing the attrition. And that's how you sell all these plans, and then it gets approved by the board.
Thank you. Thank you.